35. We're going to go ahead and get started with our first council work session this evening. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll, please?
Certainly. Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Lind?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mr. Welper?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here. Motion to approve the agenda.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have two work sessions this afternoon. The first is a presentation on the Middle Cedar River Waste Management Association. Eric, I'm going to let you, if you would just... I'm sorry. Oh, well, okay. I'll let you explain who we have and what they're going to talk about, and then turn it over to them.
Eric Thorson, City Engineer. We're actually going to be talking about watershed management authorities. There was a typo in that agenda there, but
Okay.
anyway, we have with us today Mary Beth Stevenson, who is the Iowa Cedar River Basin Coordinator with the IDNR, and we have Vern Fish, who's the Executive Director of Blackhawk County Conservation Board. And so they're going to give you a short presentation on watershed management authorities. We're looking to try to get something established here on the Cedar River, and they'll kind of fill you on all the good reasons to do that.
Very good.
All right. Well, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. As was said, I'm Mary Beth Stevenson with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, and I work in the watershed improvement section. And so my job is mainly to work with local watershed groups and help build support for new watershed conservation projects and assist with plan development and implementation projects. And I also work quite a bit with the Cedar River Watershed Coalition and also help to form watershed management authorities in the Iowa and Cedar River basins. So that's me.
I'm Vern Fish. I'm the director of
Talk into the microphone.
I'm Vern Fish. I'm the director of the Blackhawk County Conservation Board. I'm also the co-chair of the Cedar River Watershed Coalition, and I'm here just to kind of fill in and provide some local details as far as what Mary Beth has to present. But the big thing was what we're really looking for is we want you to be a part of the Middle Cedar Watershed Management Authority. So that's really where we're going. So hopefully you draw some questions that'll help you make that a more informed decision. Mary Beth is going to do most of the talking.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so just a quick overview. I do want to provide a little bit of background on the Cedar River watershed and kind of why we're here presenting this to you. So we'll talk a bit about the watershed and some of kind of the overall issues and challenges and opportunities. We'll also talk about the Cedar River Watershed Coalition, which I think some of you are probably at least a little bit familiar with. And then we'll wrap up with the Middle Cedar Watershed Management Authority, which we really, as Vern said, would like to have your involvement with. So I always like to start these presentations at grounds level. For those of you who may not know, a watershed is the area of land that drains to a common water body. So of course we're all here today in the Cedar River watershed. And just one thing that's really important to know is wherever we have problems in our rivers and lakes and streams, we very frequently can look to the land and the area that drains into those rivers and lakes to look at how we can start to address those problems. So the Cedar River watershed it's a really big area. So it includes all or parts of 23 different counties in Iowa and parts of 4 counties in Minnesota. And it drains over 7,800 square miles in both Minnesota and Iowa. So we're talking about a pretty substantial amount of area. And it's a pretty significant, we've got some interesting urban areas as well. So a population of about 500,000. And the entire Cedar River watershed includes the metropolitan areas of Mason City, Charles City, Waterloo, Cedar Falls, of course, and the Cedar Rapids metro area. So we can break down the entire Cedar River watershed into a smaller part, the Middle Cedar watershed, and that's where we're really hoping to focus some work here in the near future. But before we kind of jump into that, just presenting a little bit about some of the challenges that we face in the Cedar River watershed. So, first and foremost, and I think many people's minds when they think of the Cedar River are kind of the flooding issues that we have, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that today, but we'll just kind of hit the high notes. The water quality issues, those are starting to gain more and more attention. We hear a lot about nitrates. You might be hearing something about toxic algae blooms and those sorts of things. So we'll talk just a tiny bit about that. But I also like to call attention to the issue of the public attitudes and the awareness. A lot of people hear about these problems. They're not really sure what they're caused by. They're not really sure what they can do. And so we're hoping to kind of help to address that and help people gain a little bit more understanding on all of that. So the Cedar River watershed, obviously the 2008 floods were life-changing for thousands of people. I'm sure many of you here in this room as well. But the important thing to note here is that those floods were the second 500-year flood event on the Cedar River in the past 15 years. So I think the message here is that they've happened before, they'll likely happen again. So we want to kind of be thinking about what we can do, be a little bit more proactive about the issue. Because quite frankly, we really can't afford another flood of 2008, and I don't think I need to hit that point home very much. I mean, over $3.5 billion in damages in just 2008 alone. A lot of the damages were borne by homes, about a quarter of those damages, but another quarter of those damages were also felt in agricultural areas and a lot of land damages as well. So, we need to remember that while a lot of our urban areas were very strongly affected, we also felt a lot of impacts in the agricultural areas. So it's an urban and rural issue. So working together is going to be key to address those problems. And I just have done a lot of talking. Do you want to add anything onto that, Vern?
You're doing an excellent job.
Okay.
If you just need a break there, I can get you a cup of water. Keep going.
So the water quality issue, of course, is one that we're hearing a lot about in the news right now. It's very controversial, very contentious, and seems to divide a lot of folks from one side or the other. When we talk about water quality, one thing that comes to mind are the impaired waters. And waters are listed by the DNR as impaired when they're not meeting their designated use for drinking water, for example, or recreation. And in the Cedar River watershed, we have 73 rivers or creeks that are on the impaired waters list and 6 lakes, okay? We hear a lot about the nitrates issue, and that is an issue in the Cedar River as well. Cedar Rapids does worry a little bit about the nitrates in the Cedar River, given that their source of drinking water is very heavily affected by water quality in the Cedar River. So rising nitrate levels are a concern to them. And then also algae blooms, that's an issue that threatens recreation across the Cedar River watershed, particularly in our lakes. And so there's kind of a quality of life aspect to these water quality issues as well. But the point that we really want to hit home here tonight is that the watershed approach is really what we want people to be thinking of. And there are a couple of activities that are underway in the Cedar River watershed. The Cedar River Watershed Coalition, which has been active since 2010, and Vern here was one of the kind of founding members of that. And the Middle Cedar Watershed Management Authority, which is a newer initiative, but one that we feel is very important and will call attention to some of the opportunities for land management change. So, as I said, the Cedar River Watershed Coalition got started in about 2010 in response to the 2008 floods, and I might actually step aside and let Vern talk a little bit here because he was kind of instrumental in helping to get that started.
Well, and the Watershed Coalition is kind of unique in the sense that anybody can join. I mean, I'm here. There's no tax money involved. It has no regulatory authority. You can't tell anybody what to do. Really, all it can do is help educate and get people to work together and talk to each other. And Senator Hogue from Cedar Rapids is the other co-chair of that. And that's why we have quarterly events, we have workshops and trainings, and we're just trying to get people to talk and dialogue and trying to solve this problem. Because one of the challenges with watersheds is they don't stay within political units. They don't stay within city limits. They don't follow county lines. They don't even follow state lines because we're working with the folks up in northern Minnesota. So it's been an opportunity to continue to dialogue and to get people on the same page. And to be real honest, one of the reasons we're proposing this Watershed Management Authority is because we talk to each other in these coalition meetings, and we realize that because the state of Iowa set that up, and Mary Beth's going to go into more detail, it's a tool that we can use to help cities and counties deal with some of their watershed issues. So with that.
Okay. All right. So, and kind of Vern hit on these points a bit already, but the overall sort of goals of the Watershed Coalition: reduce flood impacts, improve water quality, of course, but educating the citizens is really kind of, I would say, one of the key missions of the Watershed Coalition right now. We get people together several times a year, and in fact, we're going to talk about an upcoming meeting here in the Cedar Falls, Waterloo area that we would love to invite all of you to. And we also really try to help just be specific about what we want people to do to help address some of the flooding and water quality issues. So just a little bit of background on some of the activities that we've done. We really have found that getting people in one room, people of all different backgrounds. We have residents who are concerned. We have elected officials, soil and water conservation district folks, NGO type folks who are all involved with this effort. And we have found that getting people together, putting them on a bus, taking them out to see what's happening on the ground and kind of the types of activities that we want to promote, that has been very successful. People really seem to like to see, what it is that people are doing in a positive way. So our next meeting is, I'm going to hold that thought and just talk a little bit more. I guess this slide kind of reemphasizes what I've already talked about. Back when the coalition first got started in 2010, there were some policy recommendations that were made with respect to floodplain management and helping to allocate more funding to watershed groups to do conservation on the ground. So that was definitely a part of the coalition, but we've shifted a bit more to focus on the education aspect. And here's where I thought I was going to kind of introduce our fall coalition meeting, which is scheduled for Friday, November 13th, and that's going to be at the City of Cedar Falls Public Works Building. And we're going to have Supervisor John Miller talk a little bit about flooding in Black Hawk County to provide the Black Hawk County perspective. Director Mark Scouten, who's with the Iowa Homeland Security and Emergency Management Department, will kind of give an opening address. And then we'll have a panel presentation, which we're really excited about, bringing together panelists from Cedar Falls, Waterloo, Black Hawk County, the Iowa Floodplain and Stormwater Managers Association, and also the Black Hawk County Soil and Water Conservation District. And they're going to talk more specifically about tools and resources for floodplain management. And we're very happy that Eric Schrader with the City of Waterloo is going to participate in that as well. So we're looking forward to that. And after lunch, we'll have a bus tour. We'll actually go out and look at floodplain buyout properties in both Cedar Falls and Waterloo to talk a little bit about how these areas are being managed and some of the opportunities and challenges with that. Do you want to add anything to that, Brian?
Yeah, and one of the reasons we threw that in is because we, Black Hawk County Conservation Board, have had an excellent partnership with the City of Waterloo in managing the Sherwood Park area, and I think it's a good model for the rest of the state. And we're fortunate in the fact that we have a big area that we can put gates on and manage it as one big wildlife habitat, whereas the City of Cedar Falls has a checkerboard pattern, which is much more difficult, and that's probably more typical of what cities will deal with. So we're going to be showing off what you guys have done with us as a partnership, and I encourage you to participate in it because you're going to have cities from all up and down the Cedar River coming to dialogue and learn about what you've done right here in Sherwood Park and in Waterloo.
Great. So if you want any more details, we're happy to provide that. But really excited to have a meeting here. Black Hawk County has frankly been a leader, and that includes Cedar Falls and Waterloo, just in terms of being proactive and being engaged in the Cedar Coalition. So we're happy to have that meeting here. And so that kind of leads me to the sort of the crux of why we're here, and that's to discuss the Middle Cedar Watershed Management Authority. And I thought I would just start by providing a little bit of background. Watershed management authorities are fairly new in Iowa, so not a lot of people are totally sure or totally clear on what they are and how they function. So I'll just kind of provide some history and some background on that. But really simply, a watershed management authority is a Chapter 2080 agreement, an intergovernmental cooperative agreement between two or more cities, counties, and soil and water conservation districts within one watershed, with the express purpose of working together to facilitate watershed planning and management. And they've been a really effective mechanism for bringing together all of these different entities, taken together WMAs, which got started back in 2011. They've brought in over $1 million to their respective areas, and that's just for planning dollars alone. Now a lot of these WMAs are starting to look at, okay, we've got a plan developed, how are we going to go forward and implement that plan? But to take a step back a little bit, watershed management authorities are possible in Iowa through legislation that was passed back in 2010. House File 2459, which added provisions for WMA formation to the Surface Water Protection and Flood Mitigation Act. So that also added the Watershed Planning Advisory Council, which is a kind kind of brings together different stakeholders to talk at a state level about priorities for watershed management and planning. And it also brought some money to Iowa to do some watershed demonstration projects that the Iowa Flood Center has been leading. So to get a little bit more specific, and I did provide the chapter of Iowa code that is specific to WMA formation, so you have that in front of you. And it's really a very short chapter. In fact, it often surprises me how short it is. Very simply, watershed management authorities have been given the task of assessing flood risk, assessing water quality, assessing options for reducing flood risk and improving water quality, monitoring federal flood risk planning and activities, and educating watershed residents about water quality and flood risks. So you kind of see the focus, flooding and water quality. And really, I think the reason why this got passed in Iowa is that people recognize, as Vern has already mentioned, that our problems within watersheds, they transcend municipal boundaries and county boundaries. So we need to reach out across our jurisdictional boundaries and to work together. So one thing that comes up in almost every presentation I give, people want to know is, well, is this just some effort to, take more land away from farmers and, put more land into the public domain? But I want to be really clear, WMAs shall not, it actually states that in the Iowa Code, shall not acquire property by eminent domain. So that is very clear within the Iowa Code on that. As far as why, go for it.
Well,
Yep.
and there's no taxing authority either.
Correct.
I think that's pretty critical.
Yes.
You can't condemn land, and there's no taxing authority. So it really is a coordinating agency. It's not going to be out there raising taxes.
Yeah, that's a really great point. So as far as why to form a WMA, I think we've hit these points already. But we really want to have a more concerted effort to address our problems at the watershed scale, which is the appropriate scale to be addressing a lot of these problems. And we want to develop partnerships and leverage resources, work together, and potentially apply for grants together. When you've got more than one political entity kind of banding together, you can get a lot more support. You can get a lot more attention when you have that kind of partnership. So that has been a really powerful way for local groups to increase resources and call more attention to the problems that they're facing. So as far as how to form a watershed management authority, it's pretty straightforward. They're formed within, I showed the map of the Middle Cedar watershed earlier, and that would be kind of the boundary of this WMA. It has to be defined within those kind of scientifically developed watershed boundaries. It's required that all of the eligible entities within that watershed are invited to participate. So the Middle Cedar watershed is one of our bigger watersheds in the state. It's over 1 million acres, and it has 10 counties. All are part of 10 counties and just about 50 cities. So it's a really big undertaking to form a Chapter 2080 agreement with all of those different members. I'm sure you guys are somewhat familiar with 2080 agreements, and having that many people signing on to one is pretty powerful, actually. And just like a couple of nuts and bolts things, one single entity, so Waterloo could be party to more than one WMA. If you were ever to get an invitation down the road to participate in another one, being in this one does not preclude you from joining up with another that might, kind of intersect your boundaries.
I'll just put that in perspective. Blackhawk County is involved in the Upper Cedar, the Wapsipinicon, and the Middle Cedar. So we have supervisors attending 3 different sets of meetings because the county is broken up into those 3 different watersheds.
Good point. So there's a lot of experience here in that respect also. So this map is just kind of showing where we have WMAs across the state right now. So we have 13 that have formed, and you can see kind of the spread. The ones that are in orange are the ones that are really close to forming, but they haven't yet filed their paperwork with the Secretary of State. And the ones that are in blue have been officially formed. So we're hoping to see another big kind of area on that map with the Middle Cedar. There's a couple of others that are being discussed as well. Clear Lake is discussing WMA, and there's some additional areas in the kind of central Iowa, Polk County area as well. So to just kind of let you know our progress so far, we had a meeting on September 16th, and that was in Vinton, with representatives from 10 of the different potential member entities. And there was pretty clear support from everyone who was there that this would be a really great opportunity for the watershed. And right now there's a small group working on drafting the 28E language. We met earlier today. We're working off of the existing agreement from the Upper Cedar WMA, the kind of the next, as Vern mentioned, Black Hawk County is actually part of that one as well. So we're looking at how we can adapt that one to fit the purposes here. And there's going to be another meeting on Wednesday, October 21st. That's at 5:30 in Vinton. That draft will be presented, and if people want to make changes to it, they can. It should be very locally led with a lot of input. So as far as kind of why we're here now, one thing that we're hoping to get is a resolution of support to just kind of indicate that you feel as a city that this is something worthwhile to pursue. Because it does take some time and resources to put it all together, bring everyone together. We want to show that some of the bigger stakeholders within the watershed are committed and interested in seeing this move forward. So, if indeed this does kind of come through, if you do pass a resolution of support tonight, or not tonight, but Monday, I believe, then a couple months down the road, you may see a Chapter 2080 agreement in front of you where you'll be looking to adopt and approve that as well. So, did you want to add anything else?
You might want to, are you going to talk a bit more about what that 2080 agreement really refers to? Because it doesn't obligate you to raise taxes. It doesn't obligate you to spend money. It just means you're a part of, and what it really does is when there's an opportunity to apply for federal money, state money, you're in a position to take advantage of that because you are a part of that watershed management authority.
And I think, Vern, we've had the discussion, and with Phil and in the group back there and so forth, and I don't think there's going to be any issue with us passing that resolution of support. We don't have it on for tonight, but I don't see any reason why we can't have it on for next week. Eric, I don't know if you have a...
Eric Thursday, it was our intent to put that on next Monday night if the council's willing.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's...
I was just going to actually open it up for questions at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, we're running a little short of time,
Yep,
but
exactly.
is council, is any questions for Mary Beth at this point?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir?
the slide you had, Vern, Mary Beth, going back several slides about assessing things and recommending things. I mean, do you have any, assuming this all gets put together, do you have any authority other than just making recommendations?
That's a great point.
You want me to try and answer that? Go ahead.
So it's a watershed management authority, but it has no actual authority. It has no regulatory or enforcement power whatsoever. It really is not a great name for what this entity is because, like I said, it frankly has no authority.
I think what, in the wisdom of the General Assembly, what they were trying to do is help local entities organize, but ultimately it's going to be this body that decides what they're going to go after. And as far as funding to help in your local situation, the Watershed Management Authority may be a tool to help you get that, and it may help you reach out to larger pools of money or help you partner with other organizations. But ultimately, it's your decision-making process that coordinating with the larger watershed.
Thank you.
That's a great question.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir,
One
Mr.
quick
Lynn.
question. You said you had about 50 potential members, maybe. Will they all join? That'd be kind of
I'll try to answer that. I'm going to guess that most of them will not join initially, but as they see opportunities, they're going to realize, duh, I should have been a part of that. So I think you'll see them add on as we go on. I got to be honest with you, Grundy County is our big gap right now. We haven't had any communication with them. So they're not participating actively, but some of the other counties are and some of the other cities. So you'll find those who want to take advantage of these programs will participate and others will wish they had at some later date.
But does that work with that big of a board?
Yes, it does, and the organization, Mayor Beth can go more into, but you end up creating a board of directors that represents everybody. And if they're missing pieces, that just they have to go forward, and they'll probably coordinate with those groups when they need to and encourage them to join if they have to. I mean, please add to that. You've worked with more of them than I have. But.
Yeah, I have, and I'll be a little bit honest. I kind of alluded to this earlier, but there are some of the smaller communities that are a little bit concerned with maybe what's going to be required of them from an admin capacity or from a financial standpoint. People just get a little bit nervous, especially when they see the word authority. They might not be fully aware of the original intent of why this is happening. So we have had situations in some of the other watershed management authorities. The Upper Cedar is an example of this, where one of the counties chose not to participate at the outset, but when they when the WMA went ahead and they got a grant, and Mitchell County realized that it was really actually an important opportunity for them, and they decided to go ahead and sign on to the agreement. But they kind of wanted to see how things worked, and they just wanted to have some questions answered and make sure that it was in line with their population, I guess. So yeah, that is something that is expected, that will not have all of the communities join on at first, but that they'll be welcome to do so down the road.
Vern and Mary Beth, Waterloo has 16 different watersheds within it, and this would have a direct correlation, or this would play a part in there would be a coordination with the different people that are involved with the watersheds in Waterloo, such as Verdon Creek.
Well, I don't know that this will actually help you coordinate your watershed specifically, but if you have a situation where there's a funding source that could help do what you're doing, the Watershed Management Authority could be the tool to help you get that and coordinate and bring money and resources down to the local level to help you.
So
Yeah.
if money has been an issue, that it's not getting funded or these things aren't getting done, WMAs would help out with that.
That's right. And just to kind of give you an example of that, in the Upper Cedar watershed, like the Middle Cedar, it's a very large watershed. The folks up there wanted to know how they could kind of target limited resources. And so the watershed plan they developed, they looked at, well, where are the priority sub-watersheds within this larger watershed? And so they did some scientific analysis, and they determined that, they had 5 or 10 watersheds that were determined high priority for nutrient loading and for flood risk reduction opportunities. So I could see this WMA doing something similar, where you kind of identify where you have your high priority areas, and the WMA can kind of work together to promote those and target resources to them.
But it's still going to be local control. It's going to be
Yes.
you making that decision.
Yes.
Okay, guys, we're going to have to wrap up here. Good job, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any downside to this whatsoever. It just seems like a very positive thing to do for the whole area. So
Okay.
we'll look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We're going to move right into the second half of our work session today. As you all know, we've had lengthy discussions about the former Tri-City clothing location on Logan Avenue. Mr. Zellifer is going to give us a couple of options as to some possible. Greg, are you out there? Seem to be having microphone problems. Dave?
Can you hear me all right back there, Randy and the gang? Okay. As you all know, we have had problems with Tri-City Clothing. The fire was December 1st of last year. The rubble pile still
Mr. Zellifer,
exists.
can I just add one thing? We have not had problems with Tri-City. So if we can,
location.
the language, the location, because, please.
Why, yes.
Okay.
We've had trouble with 711, 713 Logan Avenue. The old Tri-City building, and now they have nothing to do with that anymore. It's still there. The rubble is still there. It is a problem. As you all remember, we had a discussion on this a few weeks ago where we talked about an agreement between the owners of the lot, who have nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Carson, and the fact that they're willing to enter into an agreement with us whereby we would get the $10,000 from their insurance carrier. They would pay the friction bill of $4,800, which has been in existence for about 10 months now, and they would deed the property to us, and that would be the end of their involvement with this. Any cost of, and they would let us then clean up the rubble site. We didn't know what that's going to be, and we still don't know what the cost is going to be. We've been quoted $175 per ton, and the $64,000 question is, how many tons are in there? No one knows. This was all hunky-dory up until about a few weeks ago when people started thinking, well, why should the city of Waterloo pay for these other people's malfeasances or alleged malfeasances? And so there's a second counter group now that's come up and said, the heck with all that, no agreements, just declare this a nuisance, get the council to pass a resolution allowing us to abate the nuisance, to enter onto the property, which we can do under Section 364.12, and then try to collect whatever the cost of cleaning up this is, probably by filing a lawsuit in district court and taking our chances and seeing what we get. I still think we could get the $10,000 from the insurance company at that, because we did initiate an action against the owners of this prior to the expiration of 6 months. So, hopefully we could still get that. The bottom line is there's very strong potential that there could be more than $10,000 that we would have to put out of pocket to clear this up. We've been dancing around this for a long time now, and we're about to hit the 1-year anniversary of this fire. I want on next week's agenda to have something for all of you to do. Either, number one, accept the agreement that was drafted before that gives us the $10,000, the property, and the owners pay the friction bill of $4,800, and then we just go in there. It's our property. We fix it up, make it look good, and whatever's left over, we pay. Or we go in there, we declare it a nuisance, we go to court, and maybe a year or two from now, we'll get a judgment. So I want some guidance. That's why I'm here. Questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have a question I asked last week about tenants' insurance. They obviously insured their personal property. There's personal property in that pile of rubble, isn't there? Or isn't there some insurance available there too?
That wouldn't go to us, and the owners are the people who are responsible, not the tenants.
Even though there's personal property in that pile?
Well, the personal property would be burned to a crisp, and the personal property would be that's what, if the tenants had any insurance or relocation insurance, anything like that. I haven't seen their contract, Mr. Land. I'm not entitled to see that, but I'm sure that's where the money would go if there is any, not to the city. Under state law, $10,000 can be withheld. It has to be withheld if we do what we're supposed to do, and we did. So that's what we're entitled to. Talk to the legislature, and that's it. As you all are aware, I guess I'm going to tell you how I feel about this. I'm tired of this, and I would like to get it going. And I think we can get this done a lot faster if we go with our first move, which we started a few weeks ago, and that would be to have the council vote next week that we accept the agreement. We had to authorize the mayor and Susie to sign it. We get Mr. Eric Johnson's clients to sign it, and we get the money and we get started, and we can get our ditch diggers and backhoes and everybody in there and clean up this mess. It is dangerous. I don't know what we're going to do with the property after we own it, turn around and sell it some way. I don't think it's worth a whole lot, but we'll see.
Mr. Morrissey?
The second option would, if I understood what you were saying correctly, would leave the rubble there.
Well, excuse me. We can, under section 364.12, if you all next week authorize it, authorize this and call this a nuisance, we can storm in there and say it's a nuisance. We're going to abate it, and in we go. That doesn't mean that the other people can't file something in district court to enjoin us from doing it. I don't know if they would or not. I'm not in the mood for protracted litigation on all of this. I don't understand people who do what they did, but I'm here to solve the problems.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Walker?
Mr. Zillifer, I guess I don't see any difference between this property than any other 657A property that we acquire. We end up taking that down at our cost too. So I don't see any difference. I certainly would go for that, would clean this up and try and get the 10,000.
Well, I think the difference that people are going to point out, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, is in 657A properties, there's nobody to go after. The people who own the property are dead, or all the beneficiaries would be, incapable of putting forth any money. In this situation here, is the owners of this property have pretty substantial assets in the community, and a lot of people are going to view this as us bailing them out.
Well, that's what I say. I would still go after the money, but
Sure.
we've spent money before demolishing 657A properties, so I don't see any difference in this. I would certainly go for it.
My intent was to have the item on the agenda next week, as we discussed a few weeks ago, to accept the $10,000, accept ownership of the property, The owners of the property will pay the friction bill, and we will get it torn down on the property. And then it's done. There may very well be some cost to the city over the $10,000, and we will not have any recourse for that if we accept this offer. But we get it torn down.
Mr. Mayor, is that deal on the table? That 10,000, this deal, is it?
Yes, it is. It's still on the table. It has not been withdrawn. And we've got to remember, Chris Western has been working. You all have voted we've secured a contract with Benton's, $175 a ton. They're waiting for us to fish or cut bait here so that they can notify the DNR as to what they're intending to do, because people from the DNR or somebody will have to be there supervising this because of the potential asbestos. They're waiting. If we don't get this going, the snows are going to fly, and it just needs to be done.
It was my vote, I would say, let's take the deal. Sounds like not a great deal, but it's $10,000 more than we're going to get otherwise.
Quite possibly. And the thing is, it's speed. We're getting it done.
Well, the neighborhood deserves that. It's
I
been
agree.
a year, you said.
Mr. Hard, you have a comment?
Well, right now, as far as the $10,000, the city has the $10,000 anyway right now, right?
No, we don't. It's being held by the insurance company
For,
until this gets resolved.
so,
They aren't going to give it away until they know who's the legal beneficiary of it.
right, so okay, and I think there's a difference between the 657A, which is a nuisance, but this is a safety nuisance. But the $10,000, if we decide to go in and do it, do we get that money anyway?
Probably, yes. I would try. Well, I think we should legally, yes.
And then there's another $4,800 bill that goes to someone else?
Yes.
Okay. And
What
then,
happened was, after the fire, the walls of the building were still standing, and they were rather precariously teetering there. I don't know if any of you remember the photographs. They also had to do a water kill because the water was bubbling up through the basement of the structure, and it was December, and it was cold, and that was dangerous. So the Frictions did that, and the bill of $4,800 is not unreasonable for what they did.
Okay, Mr. Schmidt, quickly.
Just real quickly, Mr. Zelford, can I ask why this has taken a year, just out of curiosity?
Waiting for the owners of the property to do the right thing. We filed our original complaint back in March, just thinking that would spur them along. It's not unusual for people to drag their feet, ladies and gentlemen. We thought they were going to get it done, but the closer we've come now, we've realized they're not, and so we got to do something.
Thank you.
but
All right.
just one last, but we could have went in and took care of this when we first thought this was a threat, right?
Oh yeah, we could have gone in the day after the fire, but 99 times out of 100, it's not necessary. Every time a building catches on fire, we don't leap in. We let the owners take care of it. That's why there's a 6-month limitation on that as far as us giving them notice. These things take time. There were arson investigations. There were all of those things. So a lot of things played into hand that we had no control over.
Okay, if everybody, we will have something on council agenda next Monday to dispose of this, and let's go with the option one with the agreement and have that on the council for approval next Monday, Dave.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Very good.
Motion adjourned.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please read the roll?
Yes, Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda and also the minutes of October 5th as proposed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all in favor vote by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Madam Madam Chairperson, I'll take those first few items. First,
Thank
we
you.
have investigator poll for the emerging trends in recovering cell phone data for investigation and prosecutions in Las Vegas, Nevada. December 7th through the 9th, at amount not to exceed $1,718. Next, we have Steve Hostetler, permit writer, to attend the Residential Energy Inspection Plans Examiner meeting in Coralville, Iowa, November 17th, or December 1st, or December 10th. That amount not to exceed $189. And we have Jacob Frederick, fitness specialist. This is an amended item, Midwest Mania, in Rosemont, Illinois, September 24th, 27th. Amount not to exceed $1,088. The lodging amount has been amended from $360 to $438. Next, we have a refund request for 1128 Forest Avenue for overpayment of waste container fees totaling $62. And also a refund request for 1625 Baltimore Street, Unit D, for erroneous charges in the amount of $75.60. I move we approve those 5 items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
A quick question, item number 1. Dan, is that cell phone data investigation prosecution, is that for certification or required training?
It is not, but Dan Trelka, Director of Safety Services. It is not, but it's evolving technology.
Okay. Thank you.
No questions.
Anything else? Okay. All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I would vote no on 1 and aye on 2 through 5.
Thank you. Those items pass. We have a bunch of pre-auths.
And pre-ops, we have building maintenance, $5,190 for fire sprinklers under stairwell at Phelps Youth Pavilion. Building maintenance, $7,000 for exterior repairs for PD Evidence Building. Building maintenance, $6,000 for service calls for boilers 1 and 2, rebuild pump and motor repair for 5 Sullivan Brothers Convention Center. Fire, $1,600 for 5 MMPI evaluations for new recruits. Fire estimated at $7,773.50 for 5 recruit hiring physicals. Fire estimated at $7,995 for ESO suite subscriptions. 9/1/15 through 8/31/16. Fire, $6,720.84 for Striker, thank you, Striker Performance Pro ambulance cot. Leisure services not to exceed $4,100 for installation of 1 Washington Park limestone sign. Leisure services $8,502 plus $681.05 shipping for commercial food equipment. 2 A&ETS fryers, 1 star 36-inch griddle, 1 grease trap, 2 heated holding cabinets, equipment stand, work tables, and gas connectors. And sewer is amended, $21,999.96 plus $300 shipping. This is an additional $3,007.14 for 2 keypads and 36 SCRs for satellite aeration blowers. Sewer, $5,930 plus $400 shipping for replacement Crone flow meter for lagoon effluent. Traffic estimated at $5,900 plus $25 shipping for TAC-TICS Mark 3.0.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there discussion? Yes, Mr.
I
Schmidt.
have a couple of questions. First, for Director Trelka, that $7,000, is that for the building across the street?
It is, yes.
Okay. And so, you, just so I understand this, you had money in your budget for that building, even though I don't ever remember we ever voted that that was your building, is that correct? Or is this just kind of money that was in the budget that you could kind of pick and, or, you know, your staff could pick and choose how to use it? I'm kind of having a hard time following that.
I believe this is coming out of the maintenance department's budget. Sometimes there are costs that departments incur. Some of it gets picked up by the departments themselves. Others get picked up by the building maintenance department. It depends on the amount and the type of repair.
Gotcha, thank you. And I also had a question for Paul on the Washington Park sign. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Paul Hudry, can't say my name, Paul Hudding, Leisure Services Director. We have a number of these limestone signs. We're slowly replacing the metal signs. If you've driven by Washington Park, you'll see that it's been vandalized. It's pretty well smashed in. It's kind of a thin gauge metal, and we've had that happen at a number of parks. This will be a limestone sign. We have one at Lafayette Park, one at Miller Park, and I think there's one at Ferguson Fields Park. Anyway, they're holding up very well. And Carl Schuler is actually doing the labor to prepare he picks out the stone and does the prep work himself on a volunteer basis, because he's kind of interested in having our signs all look like this someday.
So is this money theoretically that could have been used for the folks that wanted the $5,000 for walking at Young Arena, or would this be coming out of two different funds, so not really?
It would be out of a different budget. I don't know if Michelle wants to weigh in on that, but it would be, yeah, it's a different operating budget.
All right, thanks.
Sure.
Anything further? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
I would vote aye on everything but the $7,000 for the evidence building.
Thank you. Those items pass. I move that we approve the budget line item amendments, which are on file in Ms. Scher's office, and also that we pay the bills this week, which are $2,326,520.76, 2,326,520.76.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those items pass. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and get started. I've got 5:30, and gosh, we got a wonderful crowd of folks in our chambers tonight. So welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterloo City Council this Monday, October 12th, 2015. Madam Clerk, would you please get us started by reading the roll, please?
Absolutely. Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Lind?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mr. Welper?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
Thank you very much. And if you would all join me, please, in standing for just a moment of silent reflection or prayer of your choice. Thank you very much. And if you would also join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. That was great participation. You got to memorize that, aren't you? I like it.
Mr. Mayor,
Just a minute, Mr. Hart. Let me figure out where I am. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I can make a motion that we approve the agenda and also the minutes of October 5th regular session.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions regarding tonight's agenda or the minutes from last meeting? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. We have a couple of pretty neat things tonight. We're going to swear in some new firefighters first. So if you guys would all come up, guys and gals, all the fire department folks would come up, please. And we're gonna do that. And if you have family members or spouses or significant others that would like to come up and get pictures, feel free to come right on up. That would be fine. So if you guys want to come up, and why don't you kind of get behind me, kind of in a half circle around me here. You know, this is, it's always really cool for us to be able to do this and welcome new employees on board, and particularly when we're talking about our public safety officers, that's so important. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Treelord. Grab the mic behind you there if you would, please. And maybe you can introduce them. I will swear them in, and then we'll go from there. But Pat, go ahead and tell us who we have here tonight.
Sure, thanks, Mayor, and big thanks to council. Without your support, we wouldn't have been able to hire these 5 individuals, so we're very excited about it. This will get us to our authorized level of 108 sworn personnel. So I'll go ahead and introduce. First of all, I'd like to introduce Chris Roth, which is right here. Chris is married, has 3 kids, currently lives in Cedar Falls. He has a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Northern Iowa. He's a firefighter 1 and firefighter 2. And previous to coming on with Waterloo Fire Rescue, he worked with Ted Electric. Next, I'd like to introduce Wyatt Brown, right here on my immediate right. Currently lives in Rockwell, Iowa. Is a nationally registered paramedic with numerous certifications. He's a firefighter 1 as well. He's also a member of the Army National Guard as a medic. And previous to coming with Waterloo Fire, he was on with Mason City Firefighter as a paramedic and firefighter there. And I understand Don and Carrie, his parents, are in the audience, so welcome. Next, I'd like to not butcher this name. Anyatsi Akbasi. Close?
Close it.
Oh, yeah. Very good. She lives in Waterloo and is a Waterloo East High graduate, so go Trojans. Has a Bachelor of Arts from Poe College, and previous coming worked Waterloo Fire. She worked with Target Distribution. And I'm told her parents, Peta and Jean, hopefully I got those 2 right, and sister Ajay. They okay there? Yes. All right. Next, I'd like to introduce AJ Elliott, far left here. AJ is married and has 1 child, lives in Janesville, graduate of Cedar Falls High School, has an associate's degree from DMAC. He has numerous fire-related certificates, including Fire 1, and he's an EMTB. Volunteer with Janesville Fire Rescue. Also is a volunteer with Cedar Falls Fire, and previous coming to Waterloo Fire, he worked for Underfirth Manufacturing. Last but not least is Dwight Paul. Dwight currently lives in Iowa City. He has an associate's degree of applied science paramedicine from Kirkwood Community College. is a national registered paramedic with numerous certifications. And previous coming to Waterloo Fire, he was with Southeast Iowa Ambulance Service and a few others. So these are your new firefighters, and we can't be, we're so pleased to have them on board.
Very
And
good.
today is their first day.
Very good. Thanks, Pat. And if you'll kind of step out of if you'll kind of step out of the picture here, and I'll, without falling, and having a paramedic come help me. Okay, you guys just gather in here. What we're going to do, I want you to raise your right hand, and I want you to repeat after me, and I'm going to say I, and then I want each one of you to state your own name, and then repeat after me. So, I, please state your name. Do solemnly swear. I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Iowa. And I will faithfully and impartially. To the best of my ability. Discharge all the duties. Of the position of firefighter. In the city of Waterloo. Blackhawk County, Iowa. As now or hereafter. Required by law. Congratulations, guys. You're fired.
They got paramedics.
Oh, yeah, there are paramedics.
I thought you were just going to hand it to him.
No, I'm going to try to get it on.
All right.
We can take the time.
There we go.
Congratulations, Chris. I hit you, don't scream. Just turn right. Congratulations, guys. Mike? You're done here. You guys get brand new shirts or what? Things are looking up.
Nicely pressed.
Congratulations. Thank you. Last but not least. Good fire. That was the easiest. Congratulations.
There you go, guys.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. All right, and all of you guys, obviously you're all welcome to stay for the council meeting if you'd like. None of you have to, and if you'd like to leave, it'll be a good time to do so. So we'll wait for you to file out if that's what you're going to do. And as we're doing that, though, I'm going to talk a little bit before I bring the group up. We have a certificate of achievement that we're going to present tonight. Probably most of you have noticed that we've got a large group of very attractive young ladies and one ugly guy up here sitting right in the middle of them. Ben Peterson. Ben, why don't you go ahead and bring your group up? This is a really kind of a fun, cool thing to do tonight. And the same thing for you parents and so forth back there. If you'd like to come up and take pictures, feel free to come up and sit in the front seat or whatever. And girls, just come on up and kind of try to fill in back here, if you would, please. There you go. Very cool, guys. Yeah, perfect. Sorry, man, I didn't mean to call you an ugly guy for crying out loud. Ben, Ben is a Waterloo fireman also, so I'm sure that brought back some memories, getting sworn in and stuff. But Ben's with us for a while and just does a great job in the firehouse. And I'll tell you what, I need a microphone here, please. We are recognizing these girls for their achievement this summer, but why don't you talk right into it and tell us who they are and what they did, and then I'd like each one of them to introduce themselves. So,
sure.
Okay.
We're the Roar. This is a tournament team that is comprised of some really special kids. young ladies. We just wrapped up our fall season, and they captured second place in Des Moines at state. They work really hard. They're leaders, but what's really neat about them is they're quiet, tenacious, ferocious competitors, and that's the best kind of athletes. And more than that, they're great people off the field. So I'm honored to be a part of coaching them. I'm super proud of who they are and what they accomplish. So
Okay. Very
time
good.
to embarrass each one of them.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. I'm going to read this at the end, but what I want to do is I'm going to pass it, and ladies, you have to talk right into it, seriously. So, or nobody's going to hear you. So talk right into it. Tell us who you are, where you live, where you go to school, and there we go. Okay.
I'm Nicole Motzko, and I go to school in Cedar Falls at Holmes.
Okay.
I'm Jalila Hart. I go to school at Columbus. I'm Kylie Phillips, and I go to school at Columbus.
I'm Allie Jabrock, and I go to AGWSR.
I'm Jenna Shaw, and I go to BMAP.
I'm Ashton Harris, and I go to Pete.
I'm Emily Mullenhoff, and I go to BMAP.
I'm Jaden Peterson, and I go to Pete.
I'm Brina Speck, and I go to Pete. I'm Taryn Beck, I go to AGWSR.
I'm Sabrina Anderson, Redmond Central. I'm Emma DeWitt, and I go to Pete. I'm Alexis Hussey, and I go to Pete.
Okay, ladies. Sabrina, do you have somebody that works around here someplace? Is that what I understand? Big guy with the green shirt that can't keep his finger out of the lawnmower? Congratulations, ladies. This really is a huge accomplishment. And as Coach Peterson said, God bless you for being the kind of people that you are and sticking with this. So this is a certificate of achievement that's presented to the Roar Girls 14 and under softball team by the City of Waterloo, Iowa on this 12th day of October 2015 in recognition of your dedication and hard work by placing second in the 2015 State 14 under Girls Softball Championships. Our community is proud of your achievement. So, girls, this is all for you. I'm going to give it to the coach. Keep up the good work, and thank you all so very much.
Where's today? I gotta get back to where I was at.
I know.
Okay, I just, as people are filing out, I want to introduce one new face up here on the dais with our department heads. If John LaPointe, John, if you would just stand up for just a moment. John's our new interim director at the waste treatment facility plant. So, John, welcome and good luck. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, Mr. Hart.
Move that we receive, place on file, and approve the consent agenda items 1A through B2D. Also, with the approval of the consent agenda, I move that we make our bills payment, which will be read by our finance chair.
The bills this week are $2,326,520.76, 2,326,520.76.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions regarding the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, it's a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
I would vote yes on everything except item number 1B, 1A. I would vote no on that item.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Very good, the consent agenda passes. Let's do the number 2, the public hearing, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt?
Item number 2 is a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing, and that's for the fiscal year 2016 levee tree clearing, the Blackhawk Creek North Side, and the Sink Creek Channel clearing, contract number 888.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries and the hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, were there any written objections on file to item number 2?
There were none.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak either for or against the Sink Creek and Blackhawk Creek clearing? Second time.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Council, do you have questions or comments? Mr. Schmidt?
I just had a quick question. I got a call today about how we prioritize these, and I think the caller was specifically wondering about Verdon Creek and kind of how the department prioritizes which ones they do, I guess was the gist of the question. So I was wondering.
Well, this is the Cedar Terrace project out there that we've been talking about for months and months and months. And
Right.
we're finally letting that contract.
Yeah, and I think the caller was just wondering how does the department prioritize which ones? I think that was his question. So I don't know if Eric wanted to talk about that or.
Eric? Hi.
Craig, could you close the door, please? Oh, wow.
They're having some fun, huh?
Eric Force, city engineer. The levee clearing is of course required by the Corps, and we're working our way along the various levee systems. The Sink Creek project was one that we were directed by the council to get done this year.
So the question was, again, how do you prioritize which ones you do? Because this particular caller thinks Verdon Creek's been an issue for years and doesn't seem to get any attention. So I mean, I think that was the reason for his question.
Well, I'm not sure where you're talking on Verdon Creek. I guess we have one project that we've been working on for some time that is funded. We're just waiting for some easements.
Gotcha. So it's a funding matter.
It can be funding. Most of the drainage way projects are very, very expensive. We're generally talking in the millions of dollars. This one on Sink Creek, we're moving along at a little slower pace and doing small pieces, but this was one that we were specifically directed by the council after some of the work sessions and meetings over the past year to get done this year.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Further questions?
Motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution confirming approval of plans, specifications, form of contract, etc.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
And motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution authorizing to proceed.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file and instruct the city clerk to read bids and refer to city engineer for review.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, yeah, we have 3 bids. We don't have an estimate, and there are several different divisions in each bid. What we're going to do is read the total to the bids, and if anyone would like to see the different divisional breakdowns, they are on file in the clerk's office. Madam
They're
Clerk,
also
please.
online. The first bid was from Beath Construction Corp. of Cedar Falls, Iowa. The bid bond was for 5%, and the total bid was for $163,486.20, 163,486.20. The second bid was from Peterson Contractors, Inc. of Rhinebeck, Iowa. The bid bond was for 5%, and the total bid was for $450,450,000.00. The third bid was from Twin City Tree Service. Their bid bond was in the form of a check for $15,500, 15,500. Their total bid was for $317,393.50, 317,393.50.
Very good, thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's do resolutions.
Mr. Mayor, can
Yes.
I ask just one
Yes.
other question about that item for Mr. Thorson? Have we got included in that the work that the residents out there were going to volunteer to do, some of their time and some of their equipment, that type of thing? Is that all part of that specifically for Sink Creek?
Eric Force, city engineer. This is the contracted work.
Okay.
We're still working with the attorney on some sort of a waiver for the people that want to do it themselves.
Okay.
We need to have some protection there so that, city doesn't get into a situation where somebody gets hurt or something like that, because there's some city land involved.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Very good. Let's do resolutions, please. Let's do the first 3, 4, and 5.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Morrissey.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving lease agreement with CNS Car Company for a 2016 Hyundai Santa Fe VIN number 5XYZUD LBX GG 340504 to be used by the school resource officers for a 6-month period at no cost to the city, and authorize mayor to execute said document. Number 4, resolution approving the 2016 golf rates with no increase. And number 5, a resolution approving notice of discontinuation from NPDES coverage under General Permit Number 2 to the Iowa Department of Natural Resources in conjunction with fiscal year 2014 Blowers Creek Stormwater Lift Station and Dry Run Creek Improvements, contract number 842, and authorize the mayor to execute said document.
Second.
Very good. Council, you have any questions regarding those three?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
On the golf rates, we budgeted $57,000 a year subsidy for the golf courses, for each golf course. And it ended up being $94,000 per golf course, $100,000 a golf course. Should we delay this vote till budget time? We can still sell tickets at today's rate. That'd be an advantage.
Mr. Huddy?
People could buy the tickets, but at least we would know where we are compared to performance of last year, which
Paul Hudding, Leisure Services Director. I'll just kind of fill you in with what the commission decided to do, and I do have additional information that I provided to the commission if you want it tonight. The issue is one of customer satisfaction and diminishing returns. If you review this chart, and I'll be happy to, I'll just pass it out, showing the comparisons, we're really not underpriced in our opinion. There probably is more of a demand problem than there is a underpricing problem. So our concern is if we do raise the rates, we may not see a substantial increase in the overall revenues just because of the market share that may go elsewhere. To answer your question, certainly that's up to the council, and you can decide when and if you want to set rates. We're not asking for a change, so really your action tonight won't do anything except give us a tool to work with when we develop the budget. We'll know where we are. So it's the recommendation from the commission to leave it as is for one more year. We've been on a 3-year cycle. If you look at the information I passed out for quite a number of years. So it's our recommendation and the board's recommendation, but certainly this board or this body gets to make the final decision, and if you wish to delay, it can be delayed.
Further comments, Mr. Lynn?
can I make a motion to defer this until, table this until budget time?
Well, what is budget time? I guess, Leisure Services is going to have some direction at some point, whether to print tickets and sell season passes, et cetera. So is budget time December or January or March 15th?
Well, don't we start talking in December?
We do.
December.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
There's a motion on the table, it's been seconded, and I understand Mr. Lynn's statement. Could he ask to table it?
I think that's, if there was a motion made, the only appropriate motion to be made would be for Mr. Lynn to make a motion to table. And if he wants to do so, he can certainly do that. Ms. Weidner, do you want to weigh in on the conversation? Does that have any effect of not having these set in a timely manner? And I would also, just for sake of making a comment while Ms. Weidner is getting her thoughts together, our Leisure Services Commission has done this for many, many years. They do it in conjunction with all of the folks that work at the golf courses and with compiling information and data from around the state and from other golf courses. And I don't think that they take this chore lightly. It's a very delicate balancing act as to whether to raise rates and potentially lose customers or keep rates the same and keep the same number of rounds. So the Leisure Services Commission does a great job in trying to walk this line.
Michelle Weidner, Chief Financial Officer. I'm really not sure I have anything to add other than what Paul and Mayor Clark have already shared with you. I think December's actually possibly a little early for the budget discussions. It's typically January, and especially in an election year, I'm thinking it will be probably more like January, but before I really have projections to share with you. As you know, all our contracts are open for negotiations, and we have a lot of puzzle pieces that we don't have today.
Okay.
But as Paul related earlier, and I'll let him talk about rates and competition and things like that.
I really don't have much to add at this point. I just wanted the council to be aware that our board chairman is here, in case you want to ask him any questions.
Okay.
Quick question. Quick question.
Mr. Hart has a question.
Paul, you mentioned a few minutes ago, I think in 2013 and 12, we increased the rate by about $100.
Yes, it's on your sheet. So,
right.
Right.
Did that have any impact on the amount of rounds, do you know of?
Typically, when we increase, we'll see a temporary decrease in season ticket sales.
Okay.
So that's kind of been the pattern. Total rounds, maybe not necessarily, because sometimes the daily play,
right,
you'll pick up some of those rounds. We're heavily weather dependent. I should mention Cedar Falls hasn't raised their rates for quite a while, and it appears likely that they won't raise again this year, and that's just I can't say that for a fact, but that's a discussion I've had with their administration.
Okay, there is a motion and a second on the.
I don't think we have a second. All I have is a motion to table.
Okay, I'm going to recognize.
We had a motion
Yeah.
For the original one, yes.
Yeah, for the original. Ms. Cole.
Mr. Hudding, Christmas is coming, and don't we sell a lot of season tickets for Christmas presents? I mean, I certainly have bought them in the past.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
So it'd be
It's-
nice if people know what they were paying, what the price was going to be.
Yes, we have used gift certificates in the past, but the gift certificates obviously aren't going to be in the correct amount. So if you want to actually buy a ticket, you need to know the rate.
Always
Okay.
a good idea.
Again, there is a motion and a second on the floor to pass. Mr. Lind, if you would like to make a motion to table, you may do so.
I'd make a motion to table until December.
I would second that, but I also thought I heard Mr. Lind, as part of his motion, say for the season passes, to keep those where they are pending this conversation. Is that correct? I thought I heard you say that.
Yeah,
No,
sure,
you
you can
didn't.
still buy the ticket for Christmas presents at $20 or whatever it is. We're not changing, we're just not raising yet. I mean, we lost $100,000 last year in the golf courses, more than we thought we were. We got to do something.
Mr. Mayor?
Who? Mr. Morrissey?
Yes, a motion to table is the motion to table the motion that was made and seconded.
That's correct.
Nothing more than that.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so there is a motion to table. Let's do it voice vote.
Mr. Mayor, so
Yes, sir.
then could we have further conversation?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So, Paul, the golf courses, and I'm sure all the council is supportive of our golf courses and all the golfers we have. But you're saying we lost roughly $100,000 per course, $300,000 last year. Is that what you're saying?
I believe it was
Roughly.
just under that, but
Okay.
that's
And then
close.
we being the citizens of Waterloo, pay to water the golf courses. There's no fee for that, correct?
Correct.
Do we have any idea how much that ultimately is worth?
Dennis could probably tell us. I'd have to put him on the spot because they didn't bring that information with me, but he does. They do an accounting of that.
Dennis Clark, General Manager, Waterloo Waterworks. That number is highly variable from year to year depending upon the weather. The last couple of years it's not been too much. And I don't recall what the total retail value is. We priced it in our operating report that you received last week at a certain amount, and we might be able to look that up, but I don't have that available right now.
And I mean, I think the point is that we again, being the taxpayers, are subsidizing golf. Just shy of $300,000 is probably quite a bit more than that with the water. And so I think Councilman Lynn's point was that should be part of the budget discussion, and rather than doing it now outside of the budget, then we get to the budget, well, it's already locked in, so now you can't. There's a really kind of moot point talking about it because it's already locked in. And I also would assume that by everything I read in here, the golf rounds are not real dependent on the price. They're more dependent on who's playing golf, and rounds are just down virtually everywhere. I think there are golf courses for sale, there are golf courses closed up. people are playing less golf, people are playing 9-hole instead of 18. I mean, I don't think that's got a lot to do with the price, does it? Have we ever been able to determine that?
I think the price is definitely a factor in that. It's weather is one of the main factors. The overall drop in demand is an issue. We're working with marketing and we're working with some family-oriented programs to try to bring that. And I went to a state meeting not long ago where there was a lengthy discussion on that. We feel that making it more family-oriented is the route to go to try to right that situation. But I should point out we do also subsidize with water and with tax dollars for many of our other, almost all of our other recreational pursuits. So it is a quality of life issue that we feel is important for the city to have 3 nice, we think exceptionally nice golf courses as a sales tool for economic development and amenities for our citizens. But as to the issue tonight, we're just trying to, this is our best guess of what might maximize revenue and keep our loyal customers loyal. It also gives us a tool that we can work with to try to put the budget together. It's always chicken and egg with golf because of the timing. It doesn't match up well with the fiscal year.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to table item number 4. Madam Clerk, roll call on that, please.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
No.
Mr. Welper?
No.
Mr. Hart?
No.
Ms. Cole?
No.
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Very good. The motion fails to table, so we will take a roll call vote on 3, 4, 5. Madam Clerk, please, it's a roll call vote.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
No.
Mr. Lind?
No.
Very good. The 3, 4, and 5 do carry. Let's do 2, 6, and 7, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Hart?
move to approve change order number 2 for a net decrease of $8,270 for the FY 2014 flood control gate well repairs, contract number 867, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute said document. And 7, I move to adopt a resolution approving completion of project and recommendation of acceptance of work for work performed by Boulder Contracting LLC of Grundy Center, Iowa at a total cost of $604,830 for the FY 2014 flood control gate well repairs contract number 867.
Second.
Very good. Council, have any questions on either of those, 6 or 7? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Motion carries. Let's do 8 and 9, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Cole?
I move we adopt a resolution approving construction plans for private sanitary sewer extension serving Prairie Rapids Square as submitted by, is this right?
I think it is.
Brain Engineering, Inc. of Cedar Rapids and Sewage Treatment Agreement DNR Form 29, November 00 with the Department of Natural Resources and the final acceptance of construction plans subject to the review and acceptance by the DNR and authorized mayor to execute said document. 9 is a resolution approving award of contract to Peters Construction of Waterloo in bonds and certificates of insurance for the Waterloo Center for the Arts Schoitz Room renovation in the amount of $132,318 and authorize mayor to execute same.
Second.
Council, questions on 8 or 9? Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Very good. The motion carries. Before we're reading item number 10, the ordinance changed, ladies and gentlemen. There was some question last week about the language in that. Noel, do you want to speak to that? I know Eric Schrader did some extensive research, or maybe even Mr. Zollifer. I'm not sure which one of you would like to speak to that, but the language as it is stated is the language that the state recommends and is proper.
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. That is correct, Mayor. The attorney that worked on the language, and he also works with our bonding attorneys and all that, believe that this is the language that is correct by state law, and it does read correctly. for the purpose that we're working on.
Okay, so with that in mind, I do need somebody to read the ordinance, please. So item number
Mayor.
10, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Hart.
Motion to receive, file, consider, and pass for the second time an ordinance providing that general property tax levied and collected each year on all property located within the newly expanded Northeast Industrial Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Plan area in the city of Waterloo, county of Black Hawk, state of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the state of Iowa, city of Waterloo, county of Black Hawk, Waterloo Community School District, and other taxing districts be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies, advanced to and indebtedness, including bonds issued to be issued, incurred by said city in connection with said urban renewal project.
Second.
Very good. There's a motion and a second. We have someone who would like to make a comment. Please do so.
David Dreyer, 3145 West 4th Street. I couldn't find my stuff from last week, but I thought that there was something mentioned about that the taxes on the base would continue to come to the general fund, but yet this says on all property located within the newly expanded Northeast Iowa District. Understand, Noel, that this is the way they say it's got to be written, but yet it was implied last week that the base taxes would still continue to come into the general fund. This says all property located within the city, within that location. Can I get some sort of answer on that?
The base doesn't stay the same, no, but go ahead.
Increment.
The attorney's answer will basically be that we still have to follow what the statute says, and so the base still has to go as described. Even though this wording may not seem easy to read, it is legal wording to achieve the purpose that is empowered by state code.
Once the base is established, Mr. Dreyer, that by law can't change. I mean, the base is established in a TIF district. It's only the increment that is then applied back to the TIF district. That base goes to the general fund as it did prior to the district being created.
Okay, I guess it's really confusing.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, and it seems to me like later on down the road, it could say, well, refer back to this meeting this night, and it says all,
Okay.
and you take the base.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further comments on item number 10?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Lynn.
No, we're increasing the budget and we're increasing the actual TIF area, right? And this ordinance?
That is correct.
What are we increasing the budget by? What amount? What was the budget and what is it being increased by? There was some confusion last week because we passed those other two ordinances.
Let me answer the second part
TIFs,
first because I have
just a
that
minute.
handy.
The other two TIFs, and you sent me an email, said those are 2014 numbers. How could we possibly?
So by state code now, we're required to update the urban renewal plans every time we get new projects, and there are every 6 months or every year to update all the information, anything that's changed in them. So as part of that analysis of every time we have to come back to the council, because it's quite a lengthy process, we have to send notice to the other taxing entities, hold a consultation. We have a certain number of days we have to wait between the consultation to come to council. So it's a lengthy process, paperwork-wise, to update the plans. The main purpose to update the plans is to put all the new projects that we've had happen in them. The other purpose is if we see needs for new roads, new sewer, new infrastructure, things like that, we have to make sure and update those costs annually as costs go up or new things are found out. We have to update the plans to make those eligible projects for us to do in the future. So in the Northeast, if we believe, hey, we're going to need a new water line to go from Independence to Martin Luther King because we have some prospects in that area, we need to show that that's in the plan, that we have that as a project in there. So the budgets are updated for potential future projects. Again, all the projects will still have to come back to the council for authorization. You can definitely say no if you don't want to do an infrastructure improvement or something like that out there. But we have to show the potential of those projects happening in the TIF to make sure that they're eligible when we need them. And I don't have it.
So the the increase is how much?
So the amount that it went up from the last plan update was by $1,056,000. And that's probably since about 2012 is the last time we updated the budget in that one. Oh, 2004. Okay, sorry.
Can you say that number one more time?
$1,056,000. So again, that's us looking at estimates that we have in there is the best thing we can do for how much a sewer or how much a water line is going to cost. If we hadn't updated those numbers since 2004, obviously we know it's going to cost a little bit more to do those projects now, so we're updating those numbers, again, to make sure that we're covered in case we need to do them.
Well, stand up and.
Further question?
The other part of your question, Mr. Lind, was what are we increasing it by? We are increasing the amount of area in the northeast tip by one parcel, which comes up to 0.1% of the city.
Okay. Are there further questions? It's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
No.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
Move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
No.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor. Mr.
Yes,
Mayor.
sir.
Move to, motion to consider and pass for the third time and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
No.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Very good, thank you, Council. The motion carries. Let's do item number 11, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir, Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 11 is a motion approving change order number 1 to K&W Electric of Cedar Falls, Iowa for project number SRTS-U-8155729-8U-07, Safe Routes to School, Baltimore and West 5th Street traffic signals to increase the amount of the project by $1,403.42 for removal and installation of 2 sidewalk sections on the southwest corner of the intersection. IDOT has approved the change order.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions regarding this change? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our regularly scheduled business tonight. Thank you, Council. Thank you for all of you coming. It's time for my microphone to go dead on me. It's time for oral conversations. If anybody would like to speak with the mayor or council or to the mayor or council, now's the time to do so. Please give us your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Good evening, Ron Wood, Chair of the Waterloo Human Rights Commission. I'm here tonight to reiterate the importance of the proposed ban the box ordinance as it relates to employment and housing. Due to time constraints, I will concentrate on employment, but keep in mind that the housing ordinance is just as important. The City Council will be charged with the decision of enacting both ordinances. It should be a no-brainer due to all the positive aspects of said ordinances. By the way, I cannot identify a negative unless the city wants to remain as business as usual. Excuse me, I do have a cold, so I might have to swallow quite a bit. Here are the positive aspects, but are not limited to. Economic will provide a positive path to meaningful employment to individuals that have paid their dues for their transgressions. This will increase our tax base because people will have money to spend. This should also decrease an overtaxed welfare system. On a side note, this will provide individuals with a source of personal pride, which can improve home, neighborhood, and civic pride. Legal, the federal law already states that using a felonious past to deprive employment could possibly be illegal and discriminatory. Many employers, usually small to medium-sized businesses, are not always aware of such actions when hiring individuals. Thus, by removing the felony statement from the initial application, it will protect that employer. It should be noted that employers can still ask all the pertinent questions regarding a felony and make a hiring decision based on a bona fide business need. It just can't be up front. As a former HR manager, I did ask those questions, and yes, I did rescind offers due to the nature of the felony. But they were after I had extended the offer of employment, but due to business nature, it was necessary to rescind the offer. But as I stated in previous comments, there were many with a capital M that were hired and proved to be outstanding employees. It should be noted that our city attorney crafted this ordinance to make sure all aspects of legality would be met. Again, and it also should be noted, the government is extending amnesty to thousands of inmates for low-level crimes, mostly drug-related. And I would guess that many of these individuals will return to Waterloo. What are the individuals going to do if they cannot find meaningful employment? It will stress out an understaffed and depleted budgetary welfare system. Go back to a life of crime? Maybe. Tax our police and probation systems that have plenty to do now. Finally, we as the Cedar Valley are now challenged to respond to the Huffington Post article naming Waterloo Cedar Falls as the 10th worst city to live in if you're black. Some of the criterion were employment, home ownership, education, to name a few. I believe it is imperative we address these issues. May I continue?
Just finish quickly, if you would, please, Ron.
Sure. The Waterloo school system is in the process of revitalization of the current system to give not only advancement of educational process, but to extend it to the technical world. You as the leaders of our city can start by encouraging our employers and landlords through the ordinances to look beyond a person's past, see what they can do now. This could possibly alleviate our 10th place finish and make us a proud city again. And I will conclude with this. If this is good enough for numerous states and municipalities who have banned the box, if it is good enough for Joni Ernst, Rand Paul, and Governor Christie, if it is good enough for Target, Walmart, and and Home Depot,
please,
it should be good enough for Waterloo.
Thank you very much. I will tell everybody that in response to that the intent right now is to have the ban the box legislation on council agenda for Monday the 26th. We're not going to get it on for next week, so just for those of you that are interested and are following and would like more information or would like more whatever, that's the night that we're planning on having it. It's up to who. It's not this coming Monday. On the 26th there will be.
Work session.
On the 26th, yeah. Okay. Bruce?
Bruce to be Kaiser, 514 East 2nd Street, Waterloo. Thank you again for allowing me to exercise my constitutional right to take part in the city government process, and encourage anybody out there, everybody who are disabled, especially disabled, to come on down for Monday nights to take part in this, and let their voice be heard. Together we can make Waterloo better.
Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, you've become a regular participant down here. It's your presence is always appreciated and welcome. Thank you, Bruce.
Mayor, City Council. My name is Elizabeth Kesey, and I'm a student at UNI. I'm speaking on behalf of students here present and students that were not able to attend, also in favor of the ban the box that will be coming up on the 26th, you said. We here have a letter to you, the council, and a petition signed by numerous students that are also in favor of it. Just going off of a lot of things that were said earlier that we just and can speak to as well is that 1 in 3 adults are charged with a criminal record, and that just creates a huge difficulty to be able to be reintegrated into the community. And we just feel passionate about being able to give these people a second chance. I just know that I speak on behalf of all of them when we say we really can't tolerate treating formal criminals as second-class citizens anymore. They have served their time, and further difficulties need to be eliminated from their lives. We strive to be a part of a community that is welcoming, and this is fair to those with past mistakes. I personally am a manager for a local business, and I conduct interviews and go through the hiring process, and I've hired numerous people with a criminal record in the past, and they have been outstanding employees. So if that kind of gives me any credit for speaking on behalf of this. So we urge you, the City Council, to pass the ordinance for the ban the box coming up the 26th. And
very good. Dan, if you'd get that, and we'll put that on file, Elizabeth, thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, for coming. It's always great to see young people come get involved in the process. So thank you very much.
David Dreyer, 3145 West 4th Street. My subject basically is on the manpower issue. I hear from some reliable sources that there's been several city staff, street sweeper, several other pieces of city equipment down resurfacing the parking lot at the Ball Diamond. At the same time, that street sweeper doesn't get street swept, and we can't seem to get the grinder fixed. I was down there again this afternoon to take a look, and it's still not back there. I guess you probably know that that's a heartbeat of mine. Mainly because when I first moved to town, there wasn't that kind of debris left down there. You could see to the back end of the lot. And if we don't seem to have the manpower to do all of this stuff down at that recycle area, then where do we find the manpower to go ahead and take these people during normal business hours and put them down at the Ball Diamond, which I understand that was resurfaced a 3 years ago. So why are we now spending that money down there? And I also see down at the recycle area, there's a huge fence going up down there, so I guess there's a lot of people going down there after hours and jumping the fence and putting stuff in there or putting the wrong stuff in there. So I guess one of my questions also is that, are we paying for that fence to an outside contractor, or is it city employees that we don't have the manpower for? There's a huge fence down there now.
We'll look into that, David. I'm not sure how the department head runs that manpower down there. I don't know. I'm
Okay.
sure he's doing the best he can with what he has to offer. I don't know about the fence.
Okay, but again, we have manpower that's being used somewhere else that
I
can't
don't
seem
know
to get other
I
things
don't know
done.
that that's the case. I don't know which manpower is doing that.
City employees.
Okay. We would all like to have more manpower. What's that?
Forrest Dillaboo, 1725 Huntington Road. I would like to speak about the loss of our waste management man. He did a lot of things for my neighborhood over there in the Bermuda Triangle, where we get all the rain and all the water. When it rained, I would see Larry out there in the middle of the night with his people getting the pump set up. And the intersections that flood, if I called in one of the pump stations down, Larry would be out there. He was out there all the time. He came to the mayor and council, the last two mayors and councils, and pleaded, we have got to fix this stuff. We have got to fix this stuff, or we're going to pay a huge fine. Well, now we wait until the fine is upon us before we start working. And we are working, and we're working hard in that triangle area. We're just going to miss him. He went to the neighborhood association and explained before all this started with our footing drains what was going on. This man did a lot. He did a lot after hours. He did a lot during the day. He did things that most of you don't know, never saw, and don't know how to appreciate. He is a wonderful man and did a wonderful job for the city of Waterloo and the citizens especially. Thank you.
Anyone else?
John Sherbin, 1715 Robin Road, part of the Bermuda Triangle. Safety issue. Seems like some of our political signs, miscellaneous, are getting closer to the edge of the road, the bigger ones especially. Garage sale signs, miscellaneous. I think there is a distance that they have to stay back from the intersections, because when I'm driving a little car, I can't see around the corner. When I'm driving my truck, I sort of can, but there's a lot of people drive cars. So I would encourage highly that anybody that's doing or knows where these signs are to move them back further. It'd be much appreciated. Might save somebody from getting run over. Thanks to the Waterloo Police and Fire. They were busy again this week. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Mr. Mayor, motion to receive and file oral comments and adjourn.
I have two comments that I want to make, or actually just one now. Just for those of you that kind of watch the river levels, we are going to lower the inflatable dam on Monday, October 26th. So if you know fishermen, if you know boaters, if you know folks that use the river, that's the day that that dam is going to come down. There will be more to come on that, but that's the day the dam's going to come down. There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you all.